Can anyone save the credibility of the final experiment after Vapegate? Well, two people have already had a go. One Glober, and believe it or not, one very well-known flat earther. Bear with me. Just a quick refresher of what Vapegate actually is.
Why isn't your breath foggy? It's not as foggy as it was a second ago.
So we could see there Austin was struggling to muster any foggy breath there. Someone had commented, why isn't your breath foggy? Okay. Now what happens next is the stuff of legends. As Austin is granting a request of someone to pick up some snow. And in doing so, he's going to go off screen and get some gloves from the cabin. For some reason, he turns the screen off on the laptop stroke camera to do that. And then when he comes back, he suddenly mysteriously overwhelms us with a big breath of foggy breath. And then tries to sell it as that is an effect of the environment. Now, of course, if that was the case, we would have seen foggy breath beforehand and foggy breath after, which we don't. And of course, when we cross-referenced it using the 360 footage from Dave McKeegan's, it did appear young Austin had a toot on a vape on the way back from the cabin. And as a result, this is what we had to entertain.
There's a little breath. What's up now?
Well, I'll tell you what's up now, Austin. Thus far, no one has come back with any kind of logical explanation. No one. I've had two people trying to refute Vapegate, one Globy, and like I said just now, one very famous flat earther, a pal of yours. And we're going to look at what they're citing to try and save this final experiment from losing all credibility whatsoever before all the extra footage has even been released. So first up, we got deep inside the rabbit hole, Flat Earth Dave, trying to defend the credibility of the final experiment. And we've got a commenter on Dave's channel who goes on to say, "Hey, Mr. Dave, thank you for all you do. Any thoughts on Austin's breath with the vape? That was the strangest thing I saw while they were in Antarctica." Dave goes on to say, "Yeah, it wasn't cold enough with the dry air to produce a lot of fog. Only when he had warm air from inside the building did he show vapour. There are plenty of videos where you can see every breath. It was 70 degrees here the other day and there was no breath visible." Naturally, I had to comment. So he held his breath from the cabin to the laptop. Get real, Dave. Because that's essentially what he would have had to have done. He would have consumed the air in the cabin, and for the effect which we saw, which was cited as coming from the environment, he'd have had to hold his breath all the way back to the laptop, which is situated on this bin or this container here, where Austin is stood in front of. Wouldn't it have been far much easier, particularly if Austin's trying to highlight the foggy breath, and if that was the case coming out of the cabin into the cold air of Antarctica, if that contrast of environments was the cause of Austin's breath, that would have been a perfect opportunity for the 160 plus IQ Austin Whitsitt to grab the laptop and go in and out of the cabin, showing the different conditions and the effect upon his breath. That would have been a fantastic practical demonstration to prove the very point he's trying to prove. But no, he didn't. I find your defense of this, Dave, yeah, very disappointing. I'll just leave it at that. And the second silly attempt at trying to defend the final experiment from Vapegate came from a Wallier, who goes on to say, "Dude, Whitsitt had a sip of water." Well, if that was the case, Wall, and Whitsitt drinking a bottle of water or from a cup or whatever, and that was what caused his foggy breath, then all he would need to have done was brought out the water into the Antarctic conditions and given us a practical demonstration of sipping water, showing us the effects upon the water on his breath in the Antarctic conditions, and putting to rest any concerns that were being voiced in the live chat because there was no foggy breath. But again, we didn't get that. We got nothing but sketchiness, and it seems like a certain group of people are trying to avoid this elephant in the room and not address it in a logical fashion, which is concerning. And here's the problem for you guys. The final experiment has got no credibility whatsoever until this is addressed. You've ruined it before even the footage has come out. All the other footage and data and supposed demonstrations have come out. It's been ruined by Vapegate. You need to address this in a logical fashion, not just say silly things. I'm looking forward to the data, but this needs to be addressed. And remember, regardless if there's a 24-hour sun or not, it doesn't affect anything I've ever said. I'm a demonstrable realist, which means I can cite physical demonstrations to every single person on this earth, and they can verify for themselves that the globe earth theory is physically impossible. So no amount of stargazing is ever going to change the physicality of the earth. So I have no bias. Remember that. I'm just someone who's pointing out the obvious problems here with this so-called final experiment. Have a good one, everyone.